She is standing right behind you. You cannot see her face. Not yet. But she is there. And she is going to ask you a question. A question that has only two answers. And both of them will kill you. Her name is Kuchisake Onna. And in 1979, she shut down schools across an entire country. This is her story. Japan, 1979. It is late evening. The kind of dark that sits heavy on your shoulders. A child, maybe 7, maybe 8, is walking home alone after school. The streets are quiet. Unusually quiet. Then, she appears. A woman. Tall. Dressed in a long beige coat. Her hair falls across the sides of her face. And across the lower half, a surgical mask. In Japan at the time, surgical masks were common. People wore them when they were sick. Nobody thought twice about it. The woman steps closer. And she asks, in a voice just above a whisper. Am I beautiful? The child, frightened, wanting only to go home, says yes. The woman smiles. You can see it even behind the mask. And then, she reaches up. And she removes it. Her mouth has been cut open. Ear to ear. A raw, red, permanent smile, carved into her face. Grinning at you, whether she wants to or not. And she asks again. Am I beautiful, now? If you say no, she pulls out a pair of scissors. And she cuts you. If you say yes, she follows you home. And she does something far worse. There is no right answer. There is only Kuchisake-onna. Now, here is where most people telling this story stop. They describe the mask. They warn you about the scissors. And they move on. But I am not going to do that. Because the real story of Kuchisake-onna is not just a ghost story. It is a documented, mass panic. A verified, recorded, historically confirmed event that gripped an entire country. In the spring of 1979, rumors of Kuchisake-onna began spreading across Japan like wildfire. Not through social media. There was no social media. Not through the internet. There was no internet. This spread, person to person. Child to child. Parent to parent. Schools across Japan began reporting something extraordinary. Children were refusing to walk home alone. Parents were demanding police escorts for their kids. Some schools temporarily suspended outdoor activities, because the fear had become that intense. The Japanese media picked it up. Newspapers ran stories. Police departments issued statements. And something strange happened. The more they tried to calm people down, the more the sightings increased. Researchers who studied this event later called it a case of mass hysteria. A real, medically recognized phenomenon, where fear spreads through a community so rapidly, that people begin to genuinely see things. Genuinely experience things, that may not be there. But here is the question, those researchers could never fully answer. If it was only mass hysteria, why did independent reports, from children who had never spoken to each other, in cities hundreds of miles apart, all describe the same woman? The same coat. The same mask. The same scissors. The same question. Am I beautiful? Who was she? There are multiple origin stories. And each one is more heartbreaking than the last. The first version says she was a young woman. Extraordinarily beautiful. So beautiful, that she became obsessed with her own appearance. She would ask her husband constantly, desperately, "Am I beautiful? Am I the most beautiful?" One day, her husband had enough. In a moment of cruelty he could never take back, he looked at her face. And he took a pair of scissors. And he carved that smile into her skin. "Now," he said. "Now you are beautiful, forever." She died. And she came back. And she has been asking the question ever since, to everyone who passes her, because she no longer knows the answer herself. The second version is even darker. She was a patient. A woman who had undergone a botched surgical procedure that left her mouth permanently disfigured. She was mocked. She was shunned. She was told she was hideous. She snapped. And she decided that if she had to live with a face that terrified people, then she would make sure they had a reason to be terrified. Both stories carry the same wound at their center. A woman, asking the world a question, the world had already answered, in the cruelest way possible. And she is still asking. You might think this story ended in 1979. It did not. In 2004, Korean media reported sightings of a woman matching Kuchisake Onna's description, appearing near schoolyards in Seoul. Children were coming home pale and shaking, refusing to speak about what they had seen. In 2007, a video began circulating online in Japan. Dark footage. A woman in a mask, standing at the end of a narrow alley, perfectly still. The video was never verified. It was never debunked. And in recent years, on forums and message boards across Japan and South Korea, there are threads, pages long. Adults sharing stories from their childhoods. Stories that all follow the same pattern. Walking home at night. A woman. A mask. A question. Now, some of you watching this will say, these are just stories. Urban legends, passed from one generation to the next. The human mind, filling darkness with monsters. And maybe, you are right. But ask yourself this. Tonight, when you are walking alone, and you hear footsteps behind you, and you feel the air change, and a woman steps out of the shadows, in a surgical mask. What is your answer going to be? Kuchisake Onna has haunted Japan for over 4 decades. She has no grave. No confirmed origin. No face beyond the one she was given, against her will, by a world that told her, beauty was her only value. Perhaps that is the most terrifying thing about her. Not the scissors. Not the mask. Not the question. But the fact that the cruelty that created her, is not ancient. It is not from another world. It is very, very, human. If this story kept you up, you know what to do. Subscribe. Because the next legend we are going to explore, makes Kuchisake Onna look like a bedtime story. I will see you in the dark.